The number one thing you need to do is deploy self-awareness about yourself and how you want to communicate and what you want to communicate. Trying to be successful is super fascinating. Everybody has the ambition or thought process of living a 1% life, but the far majority have no interest in putting in the work ethic of the 1% that is required for that life, and that's fine. You know, another thing that's a complete contradiction is how many people I know that are far happier when their business, the amount of people, I've really looked at a lot of businesses at this point, you know, hundreds of thousands probably over the last 20 years because of my investing career. There's so many people that have a business that makes them $200,000 a year, they want to grow, and then when it goes to $280,000, they went from extremely happy to miserable on that small of a delta. You know, please, in a success world, please understand that success is happiness, not net dollars in. I literally replied to, I have a ridiculously funny post on Instagram right now, right, like my last post about me garage sailing, and a lot of the comments were like, literally things like, I don't get it. Why is somebody who's worth hundreds of millions of dollars going out there and buying things for $1 and selling it for 15 bucks? And I literally am in there, like on the road here, like replying to some of you when I'm gonna be on stage and replying in Instagram to kids that are asking me that. I'm replying, happiness. I, Gary, as a human, get dramatically happier when I go to a garage sale and buy something worth 20 bucks for $1 and get the high of discovering it and knowing that I'm gonna pay $1 and sell it for 20 than I do when I land a $7 million deal for Vaynermedia. And by the way, there's no comparison. That's just who I am. I hate things like nice guys finish last. Where? It's just not true. Nice guys might be losing at halftime, but they win the game. Nice guys always win. It's just so crazy, all this fodder in the system that isn't true. All the faking it till you make it as a fashion brand that's a lead, or at what every single 23-year-old male in the world is doing, which is fronting on Instagram because boys want girls, you know? And so like, I'm just unbelievably passionate in trying to, what I realized about myself was, oh, the reason I won and I'm good is I've never played in the vortex. I've never played in the actual rules of life. I was an F student when every immigrant was supposed to be an A student because education was the way out. I launched an e-commerce wine business in 1996, right? Like that wasn't what we were, I have a f***ing sneaker. Thanks for wearing them. Like I've always done things that don't make sense. I play outside of the actual game, and that has been where all my happiness has come from. And so many things have become obvious to me by playing outside of the rules. Playing outside of the rules is the best. And that's where I want people to understand we are pandering to so many things that just aren't true. I do think people are capable of dramatically more than they expect, but you know, there's, you know, listen, I could be a dramatically bigger and better singer than I am right now, which is 0. But there's also a very fine line of extending yourself and then bleeding into delusion. There is no scenario where I'm gonna be Frank Sinatra or Beyonce. And so I think one of the things that I worry about, especially in my field of entrepreneurship, do I think that most people can replicate their salary at a job that they hate by starting an online business and over a 7-year period make the same amount of money talking about or producing content or selling things around skiing or jam making or shoes than they did as being a miserable clerk at a retail store? Yes, I do. Do I think most people are capable of making $1 million a year running a business? No, I do not. And I think that's in a very, where I think these debates become too black and white, and some people are like, oh, it's just about mindset and positivity and you can do it, and everybody's a hater and a troll. Or the reverse, where people are like, all these people are full of shit. They're selling them in snake oil. The reason that is, and the reason I wrote Crush It, if you ever really, really read it, I believe in passion and optimism and pushing yourself, but I disproportionately believe in practicality, patience, and hard work too. The number one thing practical that you can get out of this talk, go home and start doing, is realize that if you're not communicating to the world, then you're in trouble. Because attention is the asset. And whether you're producing content or you're running advertising, if you're not doing one of those two things, you're actually really vulnerable. My biggest concern is there's a lot of people here who are actually having a good year. How many people here are having their best year in their business? Raise your hands. That's phenomenal. It excites the shit out of me. It also scares me to no end, because if you're winning without the stuff that I believe in, it means that you're vulnerable. The reason you're seeing videos of me pop up talking about Toys R Us or Sears or other thing in trouble, and now it makes me look really smart, is because 7 or 8 years ago, they weren't doing the things that I knew they had to do to be successful today. That became their vulnerability. If you're selling a ton of homes, or you're getting more clients than ever, or you're whatever it is, whatever success you're having, if you're doing that without producing a high volume of content every day on Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, Instagram, YouTube, or a podcast, you're immediately right this second vulnerable. Because somebody else is going to, and over time they will take your audience. They will. And so I highly recommend that the tangible thing that you do from this talk is that you realize that you have to go home and figure out how you're gonna communicate to the world. Happiness is so important. I'm so obsessed with it right now, and I hate that success and entrepreneurship and all this stuff have been put on a pedestal. Do you understand that most people think they need to make $1 million a year to be like winning? Meanwhile, in America, one of the richest countries in the world, $440,000 is the entry into the 1%. We have success completely misunderstood. We have success completely misunderstood. Let me tell you what success looks like. When you wake up in the morning and you're happy. If you can have perspective, proper macro perspective, and you can have micro, practitionership, you will be happy and win.
Yeah.
I really believe that.
Yeah.
Having the humility and the audacity, back to your contradiction.
Absolutely.
But yeah, that's how I got to clouds and dirt,
Yeah, which is it.
Because I've always been fascinated by that about me, which is the things I'm willing to do right now that are below my paid grade.
Right.
This podcast. This is super scrutinized by the people around me.
Right.
They're like, why are you doing this? We don't have 15 minutes for very important.
Right.
You're letting money, opportunity, VIPs. Why are you doing this? I don't know. Like intuitively when we were talking, I thought it was a good idea, and I think, in my massive perspective, giving back. Look, you're going to leverage me being on this show.
Absolutely, for sure.
And that makes me feel good. That's me giving back.
Right.
This is a bigger thing, giving you these 15 minutes, than me giving you $15,000 for your app.
For sure.
For me,
yeah.
It's easier to write the check.
For me.
So for me, humility and perspective, I don't know how many very busy people are running around knowing that they need to put change into the bucket of giving back in their time, not their money. I can give you every single tactic that is underpriced, but if you don't have a foundational understanding of what you like to do and why, it's impossible for you to be successful, because we now live in a world where somebody will outwork you and take your piece. And there's abundance and there's plenty for everybody, but what has become very clear to me is nobody beats the person that loves what they're doing and is good at it because they're just always doing it. What became obvious to me about entrepreneurship is I always did it, even when it wasn't cool or in the air like it is now. What's obvious to me today is there's so many people that want to be entrepreneurs because it is cool today, and it's actually not who they should be. The amount of people in this attendance today who want to be entrepreneurs or start companies who would be far more successful financially and happy being the number 4 in a company run by an actual entrepreneur is staggering. That's not something that anybody in here who's delusional wants to hear, but it is still absolutely the truth, because anytime a pendulum swings, it swings too far the other way. There is ridiculous confusion in the system. I am winning and will win at all time levels. Get ready. You will tell your grandkids that you once saw me live. Like, I mean that. By the way, real quick, because I don't want claps for that, I need you to understand how I think about that. It's not because I think I'm fancy or great. I think it's because I'm very calm and simple about one simple, tiny thing: underpriced attention. It's so grossly underpriced. I'm asking you, let me tell you the story about MTV. When MTV came out in the early to mid 80s, how many people remember when MTV was launched? When MTV was launched, the biggest bands in the world got together for a dinner that one of their managers told me about and decided that they would not make music videos for MTV because that was giving away music for free. That why would we spend money to make a video, put it on MTV, when that's giving people the music for free and they will not go out and buy the record. At the same token, up-and-coming artists, Madonna, Duran Duran, and on, understood that it was where all the attention of the youth was, and it was a gateway drug to the sale. They understood that MTV was a jab, not the right hook. Facebook and Instagram at this second is the most underpriced scaled jab in the history of marketing, except for one other moment. From 2001 to 2005, Google AdWords was a ridiculously underpriced jab. How many people here took advantage of Google 2001 to 2005? Raise your hands. So for you really know. That's how I did it. Wine Library had no money, but when you're buying people who want to buy wine for 5 and 10 cents a click, it works out real fast when it's that underpriced. One company during that time acted the way I'm aspiring to act right now as Gary Vaynerchuk on social media. One company from 2001 to 2005 spent enough to justify how underpriced it was. That company was a small book company called Amazon. Amazon, as you all know now, is the company of our world. It will win everything. It hasn't even begun. Literally, the only thing that will stop Amazon is antitrust government involvement. Otherwise, it will destroy everything. It got its fuel from Google 2001 to 2005. That occurrence is happening right now on Facebook and Instagram, and we're not squeezing the juice out of that fruit anywhere close. At least we have picked up the fruit. I know that if I can suffocate all of you today to take 25% of your take-home income this year and pour it back into 2 people who do video and written word and put it into Facebook and Instagram ads, literally all of you will email me 24 months. Actually, if you can start right away, literally 25% of you are going to come to me this time next year, right here, and be like, holy, I've been listening to your stuff for 7 years. Your keynote was different in Miami last year at this time. I listened. I said, I don't need to go to Ibiza 3 times this year. I don't need to buy a better BMW this year to make me feel good with the neighbors. I don't need another pair of Supremes or Yeezys. I took the money and I put it into Karen, the film woman, and Rick, the ad guy, and now my business is 2x. This will 100% work. Even if you suck on camera, have zero charisma, are only 8 days in the industry, this will work because it is such underpriced attention that the ROI will work. That if you're a 2 in skill, the ads are a 20 in the 10-point scale, and it closes the delta of you being average. If you literally, and I've said this for 7 years, if you literally go interview the guy who owns the gym in town, the guy who owns the pizza shop, the woman that owns the insurance brokerage, if you literally just interview your local community, that you become the local newspaper in 3-minute video form on your phone, you don't even need to hire D-Rock or Babin or Iris. Your phone, if you literally take it, selfie it, and interview the principal of the school in your neighborhood, you will become the local celebrity who can then transact on whatever you're trying to sell that group. If you bring value to people, if you interview the best high school basketball player, literally just that, your business will change. Or if you literally just give the advice of how you got here, what you learned, if you shared your thoughts. If you do not understand that you were a media company, then you will not be as successful as you are today in a decade. And that's not interesting when the alternative is you're 4 to 7 times bigger. This thing, guys, you have to understand what happened to Blockbuster and Netflix, what happened with Uber and taxi companies, what happened with hotels versus Airbnb is happening with you as a human in your business. And so when you have the best hand and you know it because you've been paying attention and you know how to play poker, you go all in. Everybody here is playing Facebook, Instagram, social media, YouTube, podcasting like they have the best hand and they're calling. And you're not goading them into getting all the money. You're just folding. And that's this audience. So can you imagine what I feel is going on outside this stadium? So this is a call to action for everybody to do me one favor, and I do think I can get a lot of you to do it, which excites the out of me. Please, right now, listen, maybe you've laid out money, maybe you're in the middle of a renovation, maybe you're paying for your kids' college, mazel tov. I know there's nuances on everybody's life. But if you are in a position where literally your take-home income this year is literally the stuff you're gonna go and do things with, please, from 25% to 90% if you can go humble, please take that money and hire 2 people to make a lot more content for you about you and your business. And please give the rest of the money to Facebook and YouTube and Instagram. And I fundamentally promise you, you will walk here to this conference next year and personally thank me emotionally because your business will change. And I know not one of you has gone all in